Thanks also, of course, to the inspirational leadership of Vladimir Putin, the inspirational leadership of Volodymyr Zelensky. Forgive me.
This is my second video update coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. And you saw the opening video segment of Boris Johnson speaking in the Parliament, in the House of Commons, as a backbencher, no longer a prime minister. And in his speech, he thanks Vladimir Putin for the inspirational leadership. Fantastic. So Boris Johnson, to be fair, he caught his mess up and he corrected course right away. And he said, "Oh, I meant Volodymyr Zelensky." And Boris Johnson and Zelensky, well, they do have this very special relationship. And one time when Boris Johnson went to visit Zelensky in Kiev, he actually left Kiev and needed a nose operation. So I'm not quite sure what those two were up to. But one thing we do know, and Tucker Carlson talked about it last night during his opening segment on his show, he actually mentioned the fact that Boris Johnson, back in early April, he traveled to Kiev and he destroyed a ceasefire agreement between Russia and Ukraine. He sabotaged an agreement that was in place. And Tucker Carlson now, Fox News, is even coming out and admitting this fact that Russia and Ukraine had a peace agreement in place, and Boris Johnson, most likely under the orders of Bidenopolis, Greece's favorite son, this is according to Fox News, that the Biden White House sent Boris Johnson to Kiev in order to ruin the peace agreement that was in place in April. So that is now fact. It is fact that Russia and Ukraine, this could have been over in April. Ukraine would have been neutral. Russia would have stopped the military operation and all of this would have been over. But Bojo and the Bidenopolis White House, they told Zelensky that Putin is not to be negotiated with because they say he is a war criminal. And they told Zelensky that the West would not support this peace agreement and to escalate further. And now look at what they've done. They have escalated to the point where I am seeing a lot of videos, a lot of images of the partial mobilization taking place, not only across Russia, but across all of the former Soviet Union, to be honest, which is interesting because you're seeing a lot of CIS nations. They're also recruiting, it seems, and there are long lines. There are a lot of people lining up, and they're ready to join the fight. And I just think to myself, we talk a lot about poking the bear, and I think up until this point, they may have been poking the bear, the collective West, but that bear did not wake up. It looks like that bear has woken up now. And when you look at the lines and the young men that are ready to go fight, you understand that the collective West made a very, very big mistake. I mean, they made a very big mistake with this Ukraine adventure. Anyway, let's read what Boris Johnson said here. Let's read the full context of his speech where he called Vladimir Putin an inspirational leader. Perhaps a Freudian slip, maybe? Just a thought. And this is my clown world. I'm opening up with my clown world because pretty much anything out of the mouth of Boris Johnson now is a clown world. And here's what Boris Johnson said. He said, quote, "Thanks to the heroism of the Ukrainian armed forces, thanks in part to the weapons that we are proud to be offering, I congratulate my right honorable friend on his description of the work of the UK Armed Forces, the weapons that we're sending, the huge list. Thanks also, of course, to the inspirational leadership of Vladimir Putin." Wait. Inspirational leadership of Vladimir Zelensky. Forgive me. That is the full context of what Boris Johnson said. This is a hard sidewalk to walk on right here. It's like a tiny sidewalk. The cars come by, so I have to be a little bit careful here. But yeah, inspirational leader, that Putin, according to Boris Johnson. Yeah, I fully agree with you, Boris Johnson. Absolutely. So yeah, that's the cloud world. And I actually saw a chart. I wish I pinned that chart. But it showed the countries that have suffered the most. I believe it was in GDP terms. Well, I'm not quite sure. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't, I'll find it and put it up on the video during post. I don't think I have it. I should have flagged it. I should have pinned it or something. But anyway, this chart showed all the countries that have suffered from the EU countries, the collective West countries that have suffered from the shock and awe sanctions against Russia and their GDP drop from these shock and awe sanctions. And I believe the UK was top of the list. Something like 150 billion lost in GDP from the sanctions that they placed on Russia. What a terrible miscalculation from Boris Johnson, from the entire collective West, thinking that they could destroy the Russian economy in 3-4 weeks. And in the end, they've had their own economies completely gutted. Germany is nationalizing their entire energy industry. Their entire energy industry, they're nationalizing. They're nationalizing Uniper because Uniper is bleeding money. They're nationalizing the energy businesses that they stole from Russia. We're talking Gazprom and I believe Rosneft soon as well, but definitely Gazprom. Germany is nationalizing. I believe the Gazprom company is called SEPE or something like that. And here we go. According to Der Spiegel, SEFE. They're nationalizing the Gazprom company, formerly known as Gazprom Germania. The company is called Securing Energy for Europe. That was the new name after they stole it from Gazprom. So they're nationalizing that. It's a subsidiary of the Russian energy giant Gazprom. This is according to Der Spiegel. Quote, after the nationalization of the Dusseldorf energy group, Uniper, the federal government is planning further drastic interventions in the German gas market, according to Spiegel information. SEFE, which is already under federal trusteeship, is also to be handed over to the state, Der Spiegel wrote. So the German government steals Russian assets, and now they're moving to nationalize those assets. They're nationalizing their entire gas industry, but still, it's not a good sign. This looks really, really bad for Germany. Stealing assets and then nationalizing them. And then on top of that, you're nationalizing your own energy businesses because they're just not viable anymore. You nationalize them because they're going under. And instead of having them close shop, you can't have that. You can't have them fold. You nationalize them. But how is nationalization going to help when those companies, they can't compete anymore? Well, they don't have product, right? They've lost their supplier. Uniper doesn't have a supplier anymore. Has no more gas. Has no more energy. There is no more oil. Germany's completely cut off Russia. So they have no more supplies of these commodities. So what are these companies going to sell to the German people? Anyway, Germany's not looking too good. What else? Let's do one more story and we'll wrap it up. I've already done my clown world. So let's talk real quickly about NATO. So Stoltenberg, he gave an interview to Reuters on Wednesday, and he talked a lot about how Russia is losing and Russia's going to continue to lose and things aren't looking good for Putin and all of these things that Stoltenberg has to say before he leaves his position as Secretary General, and most likely, Canada's Chrystia Freeland will be moving into that position. We don't know yet, but that's who I'm putting my money on, is Freeland to take over for Stoltenberg. But Stoltenberg, he has to talk up NATO now because he's gunning for a big promotion after his tenure at NATO is up, which I'm sure he will get. But he said that perhaps NATO should now target China. Maybe Russia is not such a good idea, and perhaps NATO should look to expand in China's backyard. And during remarks on Wednesday, Stoltenberg slammed China as a challenge to the alliance. In an interview with Reuters, Jens Stoltenberg said that Beijing's support for the war in Ukraine, its opposition to NATO expansion, and its territorial claims justify the alliance assigning China this label. So just so we understand, because China is against, well, because they're supporting Russia, okay, but also because they're against NATO expansion, they're being put on the enemies list. How dysfunctional, how crazy is NATO? What does NATO expect China to say? Yeah, NATO, just keep on expanding. Absolutely. Just keep on moving all your military hardware and assets, everything. Just move them to our area. Absolutely, NATO. You're more than welcome in the Pacific. I mean, is that what they're expecting China to say? It's just absolutely crazy. Liz Truss, like 3-4 months ago, Liz Truss was talking about a NATO subsidiary in the Pacific, right? Because if NATO stops expanding, NATO stops existing. And so Liz Truss had the idea, well, you know what? We're running into trouble with Russia, so why don't we look at the Pacific, since it looks like we're hitting a wall with our expansion in Europe? And they're expecting China to just be like, yeah, okay, NATO, just come on in. Absolutely. You're more than welcome here. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video right here in Nicosia, Cyprus, the Duran.locals.com. And that's it. Take care.